Hello, everyone. My name is Rohit, and thank you for joining me today. The topic I'm presenting is one that sits at the uncomfortable intersection of innovation and inequality, e waste trade, the dark side of tech globalization. We live in an era defined by technology. Each year, new smartphones, laptop, smart TVs, and wearable gadgets hits the market, promising factor smarter, more efficient experiences. But while we are celebrating innovations, we often ignore what happens when these gadgets reach at the end of their useful life. This is where the problem of electronic waste or e-waste comes in. E-waste refers to any discarded electrical or electronic device from mobile phone, refrigerators to computers and batteries. According to United Nations University 2020, the global e-waste monitor, the world generates 53.6 million metric ton of e-waste in 2019 only. To put that in a perspective, that's roughly the weight of 350 cruise ships. Even more worrying is the fact that only 17.4 of percent of that was formally recycled. The rest end up in a landfill or was informally recycled, often undergoes dangerous and illegal conditions. The e-waste problem is growing faster than any other waste stream due to increasing consumption, shorter device life cycle, and lack of recycling infrastructure. In globalization into the picture, some global economics force that allow for the rapid movement of good, service, and capital across border have also created a global waste chain. Developed countries like United States, Canada, and the UK, Germany exports large volume of used electronics to countries like Global South, places like Ghana, Nigeria, Pakistan, and India. On the surface, this may seem like a form of recycling or reuse, but in reality, many of these products are not functional and are second-hand goods. This e-waste dumping has become a hidden cost of globalization where the environmental and health burdens are outsourced to poor nations with weaker environmental regulation. The Basel Convention, the international treaty signed in 1989, was designed to regulate the movement of hazardous waste across border. While it has some success, enforcement remain weak. Many shipments still bypass inspection and illegal e-waste trade continues through loopholes and weak monitoring system. Exporters often label unused waste as donation or reused electronics to avoid scrutiny. The darker side of globalization is laid bare in the way waste is exported from wealthy nations to poor ones, benefiting from their tax laundry environmental while externalizing environmental cost. About what happens when e-waste reaches its destination. In many informal recycling hubs like Abgo Blosia in Ghana or Selampur in India, men, women, and every children sort, dismantle, and burn electronic components by hand. They use acid baths to extract precious metal like gold and copper, or simply burn wire and plastic casing to access metal inside. These methods are highly toxic. Workers inhale fumes or burning plastic and heavy metals. They suffer from lead poisoning, respiratory illness, cancer, neurological damage. The surrounding soil and water system become contaminated, impacting agriculture and drinking water source. Women and children are especially vulnerable. Many women work in these sectors without protective equipments, often while pregnant, leading to birth defects and developmental disorder in the children. What's tragic is that these workers earn only few dollars a day, while true profit is captured by global intermediaries and downstream recyclers in rich countries. From an international business perspective, this raises serious ethical question. In our course, we have studied the concept of supply chain responsibility. The idea that companies are responsible not only for how a product is made, but also how it is disposed of. Sadly, many companies do not take accountability for the full life cycle of their product. Once a smartphone or laptop is sold, responsibility often handed over to consumer or informal recycler. This fragment approach leads to environmental harm and human suffering, particularly in countries with weak governance, what we refer to say as institutional voids. Moreover, under stakeholder theory, firms are expected to consider the well-being of all parties impacted by the activities, not just shareholder, but also workers, local communities, and the environment. Yet, in the case of e-waste, the broader ethical obligation is often ignored. Companies benefit from recycling cost, exporting e-waste, but then the cost is borne by others, often those with the least power of the object. Issue further, I reviewed an investigated article from Good Electronics titled Global South, the dumping ground for the world's electronic waste. This piece detailed how e-waste exporters often exploit labeling loopholes and how custom authorities are ill-equipped to differentiate between functional and non-functional goods. The article underscores the failure of current international system and calls for stronger regulation. The transparency and consumer activism to hold companies accountable. It highlights the need for legal framework that actually work rather than just existing on paper. From a managerial perspective, there are several critical steps that company can take. First, they must adopt extended product producer responsibility or EPR policies. This means companies should be responsible for collecting and recycling their products once they are discarded. EPR encourage product design that minimize waste and improve recyclability. Second, the firm must vet and partner with certified recycling organizations such as those approved by e-stewards or R2 standard, which ensure environmentally responsible practices. Third, the internal audits and supply chain transparency must become standard practice not just to meet regulatory compliance, but as a part of an ethical business strategy. There are also innovation solution on the horizon such as digital product passport that track material and life cycle of a product and circular design principles that make electronic easier to repair, upgrade and recycle. However, these charges require international coordination. Global trade laws must be updated to reflect the reality of e-waste trafficking. Sanction and penalty for illegal dumping must be strictly enforced. Developed nations must invest in recycling infrastructure and support the global south in building formal recycling system. This could create jobs, protect health, and reduce environmental degradation. Looking ahead, strengthening international agreements like the Basel Convention with the real informants, implementing digital tracking system, and embracing circular economy design are key strategies. Government, corporation, and consumer all have a role to play in moving towards sustainability and equity in electronic production and disposal. Issue of e-waste is not about trash, it's about power, ethics, and global justice. It's a direct result of our throwaway culture and our uncritical celebration of innovation. If we continue to prioritize speed and novelty over sustainability and equity, we will deepen the divide between the technology haves and have not. The solution lies in rethinking how we design our goods, electronics, as a future manager, entrepreneur, and global citizen, we must take this lesson seriously. Globalization has many upside downs without safeguard. It creates winner and losers, and in case of e-waste, the losers are often voiceless. Thank you for listening, and I look forward for your questions or feedback.